Welcome to In the Studio on Davis Media Access. I'm Tim Gaffany. Well, the Davis Arts Center was founded with the aim of helping the region's youth cultivate the visual artist within, fostering creativity, curiosity, resiliency, and empathy for others. Today, we're happy to have Stacie Frerichs here to tell us more about this important cultural resource. Stacie has served as the executive director of the Arts Center for the past 8 years. She has also given her time and expertise to the community in other ways. She served for 6 years as director of the UC Davis Alumni Association Board of Directors and was a board member and president of the Davis Co-op. She received a BS in geology from UC Davis and an MBA from the Haas School of Business at UC Berkeley. Welcome, Stacie.
Hi, Tim. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you bet. Well, it's captured in your mission statement, which I read above. But can you expand on why it's so critical to cultivate the arts in our youth? I mean, why are they and the community at large better for this?
Yeah, thank you. It's so important to think about how art makes a lifelong impact on someone's life. And so, if we can introduce them to the arts as a youth, then we can have a whole myriad of great outcomes, including artistic practice that might serve somebody during times of sorrow or joy. We have a connection to a mental health and allowing our youth to have a foundation to express their emotions and tell their story and create artistic literacy, maybe becoming a career or making people who really enjoy the arts as adults. And so we want to introduce them to all of that. Our focus at Davis Art Center is the visual arts, but we do care about all types of art.
hmm Well, that's wonderful to hear, and it's wonderful to hear the multifaceted sort of understanding of the contribution that arts makes to youth. Well, tell us, how did we get an art center in Davis? What's the story of this organization?
Yeah, I love our history. So we were founded in 1960. What was happening in Davis in 1960 was that the university was growing rapidly and heavily recruiting for professors, and they brought their families, and those families wanted cultural amenities. And during that time, many of our nonprofits were founded. The Arts Center started at the address of 234 J Street, which is actually now the J Street Housing Co-op. We also were at the corner of 5th and L. Our dance studios were there for many years. And in the late 70s, early 80s, the community really wanted a home for the arts instead of a few buildings scattered here and there. So they approached the city and raised the money to fund the building of our building and the building of the parking lot. So that was all paid for by private donations from our community. And we have a lease from the city for the land in the northeast corner of Community Park. And we've been here since 1987.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you to all the people who helped make that happen. Um, So I think the Art Center is perhaps best known for the studio arts classes and summer camps it offers. And I'd certainly love to hear something about those. But I hope you could also talk about some of the other ways that at least to my understanding, other ways that the center carries out its mission, including its contributions to arts curriculum and professional development for educators.
Yeah, thank you. I think that really came out of the pandemic. When we were forced to close for public health reasons, we had about 95% of our revenue came from in-person events. And we have we did not have the capacity to go online at that moment. So we really thought about what was the best way we could serve our community. And through the help of a few granting organizations, including the Davis School Arts Foundation, we created a set of curriculum and art supplies that were distributed to every fifth grader in the Davis Joint Unified School District. As we worked on that curriculum, we talked to many teachers about the need for the arts and aligning with other subjects and giving teachers tools to bring more art into their classroom. And that started this incredible pivot of creating arts curriculum within our entire region. So we now have curriculum. We're just launching for the next year, transitional kindergarten all the way through sixth grade, fully California arts standards aligned curriculum that can either be used by an elementary school teacher in the classroom or a visiting teaching artist. And the curriculum does exactly what I said at the beginning. It helps students tell their story, express themselves, and learn about the elements of art. And we love the California arts standards, and we're really proud that we can help a teacher both meet a requirement of the state in their teaching of art, but also we get rave reviews from our teachers in allowing them to integrate other lessons into the art that they're bringing into their classroom.
Wonderful. Now, is it also true that the Art Center works with other arts organizations, uh, whatever they may be? And if so, could you say something about that and give us some examples of that?
Yeah, well, we all who work at the Art Center are artists ourselves, and we are all part of the arts ecosystem. And
Hmm.
Tim, you and I both know how important all of the interplay of the arts are. So,
Mm.
although we're focusing on youth visual arts, we care a lot about our other arts within the community: dance and drama, theater, other visual arts. And so, as we can uplift other organizations, we do have had a long time partnership with the Acme Theater Company, a youth run theater company in our community, and others as well. So we do. I support many arts organizations myself, and so do all the other staff and board members of the Art Center.
Right. And so are those collaborative endeavors and the ways you support these other organizations and support, is it primarily as a venue, as a space for these other organizations to use?
Yeah, sometimes it's a venue. Sometimes it is, we support them with projects and art supplies so they can take our curriculum into their classroom. Whether it's we work with the after school programs within Davis Joint Unified, and sometimes the other arts that work within those after school programs use our curriculum as part of their programming as well. But it is
Mhm.
also venue and rental space. Although I will say that's a little bit on pause right now. If anybody's gone by our building in the park, we're doing a fair amount of work where we're replacing gutters and doing a bunch of roof repair. So we've stopped our rental program for at least a few months as we get the building in order.
Mhm. Okay. Well, wonderful. Well, perhaps that's connected to the next question I want to ask you, and that's about what are some of the challenges that an organization like yours faces. And I wasn't thinking about gutters and downspouts in particular, but maybe that's part of the list. But what do you see? I
Right.
mean, in general, what do you see as some of the headwinds facing arts organizations today?
Well, there's a lot, and I can name a few. And most people who do arts do it because they love it and they truly believe in the power of arts in creating community and and building kind of people who care about the issues of the day and express them in a way that is um, maybe eye opening, helps with second response to disasters. There's a whole way that arts contributes to society. But some of the headwinds, which was your question, was for us in particular, we have the 36-year-old building, and that's why you're seeing some of the repairs. This year, with all the rain, we loved it, but it allowed us to not ignore any of the problems we had with our roof. So we are working on that. And we are that I'd say that is one of our big kind of physical issues. Arts organizations as a whole have had a problem in the last few years adjusting to the new regulations around employee classification. So the state of California changed how arts, actually how anyone should look at classifying an employee. I like to
Mm,
say the arts community got caught up in the Lyft, Uber proposition
mhm,
and argument with the state of California. And now we have a new way of thinking about classifying our artists. They used to be independent contractors. With the new laws, they're now classified as employees, which adds actually a lot of benefits and a lot of challenges. It's just a new way of thinking about a business model that we really, frankly, had done well with for 60 years. And we're rebuilding that. And that's one way the curriculum is helping out and allowing us to be able to bring people on as employees and artists. And I hope that when we look back at this relatively painful time for arts organizations, we can point to it as the beginning of us actually talking about how much money we need to make the arts happen in communities and a sustainable pay structure for our artists, which we know is not the case. And we always are fighting for more pay for our artists.
mhm. Well, of course, often these days, when asking about headwinds and challenges, the COVID comes up, and rather than saying, sort of what were the most painful parts of COVID, I wanted to turn that question around, make it more positive, and say, what do you think is some of the hidden positives, or not so hidden? What actually unexpectedly came out of that was positive for your organization?
Well, I talked about the curriculum that we had long wanted the space to really think through how best to teach art in a way that was life affirming, allowed the connection to social emotional learning, fit with the California art standards. And COVID did give us the space to do that in a way that would have been very difficult to do if we had programming go. The downside was that we didn't get to see all the kids' faces, and we knew they were at home uh, without that community connection that people really need to thrive. And so the the curriculum really started with us providing take home projects and take home camps. We actually did the first year of COVID 5 weeks of take home camps where we had a lineup out our door and 100 or so people each week picking up a bag of supplies and a whole bunch of projects we had created. And that ended up the the seed that then became the curriculum. So there are some silver linings. I will say that I thrive on seeing the youth come in and learn art and not having that in our building for 2.5, almost 3 years outside of small stints in the summer camp. Um, it really was painful. And but that silver lining was really the curriculum.
Yeah, well, that's great. That's great. Well, one last sort of question to again end on a positive note here, and this is a question I like to ask a lot of folks who join me for these segments, and that is, what is it about Davis in particular? Why do you think that Davis is such a special place for the arts?
Mm. Yeah, I think that we have a community that cares. Most places I talk to around the state say you have a lineup of people who want their kids to take art classes and will send them to an art camp. And so we have a caring community. We have people that I think really appreciate that we have world class arts here in Davis, both with the university and with our nonprofit community, and that they go out of their way to support and attend. I think a little bit of a challenge is getting the word out when we're doing things and when you could sign up, but we have a community that's really supportive, and we're actually close to a lot of world class art within Sacramento and the Bay Area. So there's a way that cultivates artists within our community that's really special. So I think that really helps contribute.
Uh, well, Stacie, thank you so much. This has just been wonderful talking with you about the Davis Art Center. It really is one of the crown jewels of the Davis art scene. So
Thank you.
I have been speaking with Stacie Frerichs, the director of the Davis Arts Center, and you have been listening, of course, to In the Studio here on Davis Media Access. I'm Tim Gaffney, and we'll see you next time.